Hello and welcome back to Talk Pitch Side. I'm your host PJ with my co-host Tony, as always, to cover all things MLS and World Cup. Today we will be covering Group A in the World Cup as part of our predictions from every episode here to the World Cup. We're going to be doing a group episode, so stay tuned for that. That will be at the end of the episode. Mexico's group, a lot of toxicity in that group, in my opinion, in terms of where people are going to predict it. I think there's a lot of names that could, from top to bottom, that could be very different from person to person. So we'll see. We'll see where we both land on that one. But before we get into that, we're going to do MLS preview. Actually, before we even get into that, I want to do a quick obituary of MLS and CONCACAF Champions League. And we do it again. We lose both games. Nashville lost. Was it just 1-0?
Yeah, I think so.
And then LAFC just got destroyed in the second half against Toluca. Really good first half. Like, it was back and forth first half. Like, no one scored, and you were like, ooh. That's the exact moment we see all the time with MLS teams. Is this they reel you in, and then they kill you at the end. So tough for those teams. I think they're both disappointed, but I'm sure a little bit glad that they are just able to focus on MLS before the World Cup here, because they both performed well in rotated squads, but I think it's getting to the point where they're like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. So, especially Marc Dos Santos. So
he was quite fed up.
He makes it known, and he made it known to the Toluca coach too that they didn't like his antics either. So
yeah, that was a little bit of drama there at the end. I'll admit I was not able to keep my eyes open for all of that game, but it didn't matter anyways.
He went to bed. It was smart.
I'm going to do the one thing that, like, you know, is a toxic argument thing that, like, you know, people that do this, and I'm going to just do it now because I feel like I have the right to. We didn't really care about this competition anyways, you know, like, that's not, I mean, like, yeah, sure, would you like to win it, but
I don't care. I want to win one time.
Well, okay, I'll pivot a little bit. I will say, though, that if MLS was serious about winning this competition, then the roster rules that we would be under are not what they are now.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's just what it is. And you know, like, I think that there is like this kind of internal debate, you know, what means more to you, MLS Cup or CONCACAF Champions Cup? Personally speaking, purely for myself, on behalf of being an FC Cincinnati fan, I would much rather win MLS Cup than CONCACAF Champions League. I just think that generally means more. But I also think there's a layer of, like, at least in America, for most of the casual, like, hey, I know I've got a soccer team in my town type people, they just don't understand what this competition is or what it means. It's not like Champions League over in Europe, where that's just like something that's always been baked in and people know. It's like, oh, so we're just playing these other teams in Mexico and they're best of the continent, versus like, no, this is like kind of like our Super Bowl, you know, is MLS Cup. Like, it's, I don't know. It just seems there's way more hype around MLS Cup. And I personally am like, okay, you know, whatever. And I'll say this too, as an Arsenal fan, I think I'd rather win the Premier League than the Champions League. I'd love to have both, but I just think that, like, the local,
it's a bad take. I'll say
it. I know that's probably not popular either, but that's me. I'm not speaking on behalf of Arsenal fans. I'm just saying, for me, that's what I would think. So,
champions of Europe versus champions of one country. I don't know.
Or both, probably, hopefully.
I don't think Champions League is comparable to this, so I think it is a different analogy.
I don't think so either. It's apples and oranges for sure.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, disappointing. Maybe 1 year. We'll get them.
We've had that 1 year. Now never
it's
again.
It's also just so weird because they're in, like, the end of their season, and we're at the start of our season, which that will change here in the next couple of years. So that will be an interesting to see how that plays into it all, and how that alters things.
But, like, they had to juggle playoff games in between this too. So imagine now MLS teams in that, where they've got to juggle. They've got to make a serious decision there.
I think it might be better to be in playoff games, because I think that you're, like, in your mind just like I'm playing high intensity games. Like that's what you're built up to at this point in the season, versus some of these teams are, like, haven't played with a full roster yet. Like, it's just like, especially early in the competition, like we're playing with, it's like their preseason games is basically what you're seeing. So
right. My only counter to that, though, is that when we have 3 DPs and you're playing 3 games a week, like those miles add up. Like if you've got a conference semifinal and then you got to go play in a semifinal for CONCACAF, like, and your best players are your 3 best players, and your bench does not look like Liga MX's bench,
Oh
then I
no,
think
I'm saying
that
I'm
can hurt
saying
worse.
I think the
Yeah,
playoffs help Liga MX. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I think it's better because they're ramped up and built up to be like it's go time right now. We're at the end of the
yeah.
year stretch and we're ready to go. So I mean,
See, I think I
who knows?
disagree because they got to play their best players. They got to make a decision. Who like are they going to go all in on one thing or split half and half and then lose in both? Like,
I mean, yeah,
yeah,
we've seen a lot of these teams though for Liga MX actually play their best players, which has been interesting. So it's
mm-hmm.
been it is what it is. We
Yep,
also have I know we're talking World Cup at the end. We have the Mexican national team making news. I don't know if you saw this, but
yes,
they basically like got agreement with all of their teams in Liga MX that they're gonna bring all of the like players that they want on the national team to this camp upcoming. That is in the midst of the playoff run, and it's like now like you've got people upset. They're basically being like, if you don't release the players, they're not playing for our national team. Is the statement they put out,
yeah,
and it's pretty crazy. Like because there was an agreement, and now like teams don't want to do it because they're in the midst of a playoff run or they're in this Concacaf Champions League. We saw Toluca not have 2 of their best players, and they still beat
yeah. It
LAFC
didn't
pretty
matter,
bad.
right?
But they were missing 2 national team players, and it's interesting. And you have teams like who's like the Mexican national? Is it Tigres? Is like the Mexican national team?
Chivas is like,
Chivas.
yeah,
They like make their like name off of only using Mexican born internationals, and they literally are
yeah,
like gonna like can you imagine being in a playoff run? It's like you have to
yeah. All
release all
right,
of these guys, and it's
peace
like
out, team. Yeah,
shoot. But it is like one of those like both sides of the coin. Like if you're gonna say you're the Mexican national team, you have to kind of like let them go be a part of the Mexican national team for a World Cup. So
yeah.
it is what it is. I think it was a bigger story than it needed to be. It was just one of those
Well,
like weird timings.
well, the
Like,
weird timing for me is why did they have to huddle up so early? Like they're convinced that, and I think
well,
that they're the only
that was
team
the
doing this, right?
they're
Like,
doing a whole month like camp ahead of it. Like that
why? That's
well, they're
I
trying to
just,
build the team together. They want it to be performing at their highest capabilities when they come to the World Cup. I think
I
that's just the goal.
guess, I
I love it.
guess, but
I wish we would
nobody
do
else
something
is
like that.
doing.
That's sick. It is
Huh?
awesome. Like you have a full month for everyone to be like, we're on the same page, we're ready to go. Like
Yeah.
I love it.
Well,
It's
here's the
not
thing. I
possible
think
for a
a
lot of
couple of the Chivas guys like did not show. Like they did come back to club. They didn't go to
well, that's what I'm
country.
saying. And they were like, if you don't report, you're not playing for the national
Yeah.
team come World Cup time.
So in my mind, though, like if I know I'm like the 25th guy on the roster, I maybe get 3 minutes of playing time, or I can stay at my club where I'm fighting for a trophy right now, and other guys
World
are
Cup.
gone, so maybe I'm playing there.
I pick
I
the
don't
World
know.
Cup every single time. It's not.
I
It's
don't
not
know.
even a question. It's not even a question. You're gonna be if you're at that club like that, you're gonna be competing every year for that trophy.
Except for Chivas
This is a
hasn't been that
home
good.
soil World Cup. This is their home soil World Cup. You're never gonna get that chance ever again.
I don't know. I don't know. I think. I
That's
mean,
not
like I get
not
the
a question.
prestige of it.
Tony, you've had some too hot takes early in this podcast. And
Well, then
I'm
why
kind
are
of
these
appalled.
guys going back to Chivas and not showing up to camp? Like, there's a real
What?
reason.
There's probably also like the things behind the doors where they're like, the teams are probably like, if you want to be like if you want to stay on this team and be paid this way, like you've got to report and show up. So it's
Yeah,
weird. It's all weird, and but
right.
I also kind of love it. I wish we did like a longer.
I just
camp.
don't
Like
understand it.
it just
Yeah,
like, but like it doesn't make sense for America because in most national teams because their players are scattered for the most part all over the world and playing in these
hmm
other leagues that they can't just get all of them and be like, yeah, sure, take our player
right.
at the end of a run here. In Mexico's case right now, they have a lot of players playing in their league. So
But the
that's where the
European
story's
ones,
coming from. Like that
right?
like for the USA, that's not a thing. Like there's like 5 or 6 MLS players that might be on the roster for this World
hmm
Cup. Like and it's one at most on a team for for the most part. So it's not going to
It's
be
crazy.
a similar story. Can you imagine they were like, we're having a USA camp. Christian Roldan, Sebastian
Yeah,
Berhalter,
Tim
Roman
Ream.
Celentano, Miles Robinson,
Yeah.
come on down.
We're going to hang out with you lot
Just
for
you
a bit.
four. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get to know each other really well because you're going to be sitting next to
Yeah.
each other on the bench a lot
Because you're
during this
building
World
the
Cup.
locker room chemistry. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Okay, well, let's get into some MLS talk here. Do a little bit of preview. We'll fly through a couple because we're already 10 minutes into this episode. We start in the most perfect way that we know every single week,
Yes.
and that's Toronto 1
That's all
p.m.
we know.
playing Miami. Miami needs a bounce back game. I don't know health issues off the top of my head of where Toronto's at. Like if we're gonna have Josh Sargent in this one, we're not gonna have Mihailovic. So that alone is like gives me hesitation to even think Toronto can compete in this one. But I say that every single week, and then Miami's in a close game every single week. So
Yeah.
I'm still going to go Miami. I think they get it down the road just because Toronto hasn't looked great at home either. And Miami's a team that can punish you a little bit more offensively. So I'm going to go Miami and not really look back in this one.
Yeah, I think it's hard to go any direction other than that. Toronto is just these injuries are just piling up crazy on them. They also had the what's the equivalent of the Canadian Open Cup, I guess is what you'll call it. There's a name for it. But they ended up losing to Atletico Ottawa midweek in the Canadian Championship round 1. And they kind of
Round
rotated.
one?
Yeah, they kind of rotated, kind of not. Atletico Ottawa is huge, you guys. But they're just I mean the injuries are doing them in and really keeping them from the team they can be. We've talked about how we feel like they need to capitalize more at home, and I think a big piece of this is like when you don't have Mihailovic, now Sargent, never really got into the thing like the rhythm of things, and now he's hurt. Call him TBD for this game because I'm not sure we've seen any official. But there's more going on. I mean, Larea, Corbeanu, Wingos, Fuentes, Kusevic, like it goes on. That was not the end of the list. It didn't get relevant anymore. But like it is so many people out for Toronto. It's going to be really hard to keep up with this Miami team that now is only in the MLS rhythm of playing, once a week. And by the way, Orlando really poked the hornet's nest last weekend too. Miami's got a lot to prove here in this game, and I think they're going to come out mad and really silence some haters in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think you see a Messi 3 goals and assists type game in this one. Moving on here, we've got Chicago at home versus the struggling Red Bulls right now. Of course, Chicago's coming off that heartbreak at the end of last week. I think that's going to be enough for them to be motivated to get this going. Of course, Robin Lod, I haven't gotten an update. I didn't see how long he's actually out for with that injury.
Neither.
But they're going to be missing him. I still don't care. Like, Red Bulls have just been pretty putrid as of late, offensively and defensively. And Chicago's attack, in my opinion, is like all the way back. Like, although they couldn't win last week, like that offense could have scored 6 goals in that game and should have scored more. And I think that Hugo Kuipers and Sinkernagel are really in tune right now, and I just feel way more confident about those front two versus Red Bulls front two, which is in and out these days. Like, is it Neal? Is it Choupo-Moting? Is Forsberg fit this week? Like, there's just so many question marks with Red Bulls right now, and who's going to be providing the consistency. So, I mean, naturally, I'm going to go Chicago at home, and I think it could be by a wide margin too.
Yeah, I agree. I just need everyone to know that I just tried Googling Robin Lod and then hit the news part in Google. And the second top hit from 23 hours ago, so I thought this would be fresh information. Robin Lod doubles the lead for Minnesota, published by ESPN India. So this is how you know.
To get there.
Yeah. We've got cutting edge information when we could tell you for a fact Robin Lod did not double the lead for Minnesota. And when you try Googling it, you see more things about Minnesota than Chicago. So this is a fresh news source right here listening to us instead of Googling things, just so you know. But yeah, no, I agree with your take on everything here. It just seems like right now the trajectory, despite a rough result for Chicago, is still in Chicago's favor comparatively to the Red Bulls. Talked about their struggles after recapping the game earlier this week. It just seems like right now all of the downsides of playing the kids are really starting to hurt them. And, that's part of the risk you take. And here we are. The question is, I think at this point, how long does it take with these kind of results till we see Bob Bradley not Bob Bradley, Michael Bradley? Holy crap, we are out of control this week. Michael Bradley start making changes and being a little proactive. I think that's kind of been a complaint with Red Bulls fans right now, is that he seems to be a bit pragmatic, slow to respond in matches and adjustments to the team. So it's been a rough run of form now. 1 win in their last 5 games. Something's got to change. Does that happen against Chicago, and is that a big enough wrinkle to maybe scatter the result a little bit? It just it doesn't feel that likely with the defense struggling the way it has. And obviously you got Kuipers that's feeling good, Zinkernagle's feeling good, Bombo's working his way back from injury. So this one plays into Chicago at home here.
Totally. Moving on here, we have Montreal at home versus Orlando. Let's get some quick predictions in this one, because Montreal can't beat a team outside of New York. So I'm going to go Orlando. I don't feel great about it. This game's going to be gross. This game could be 0-0 or it could be 4-4. That's just like the feelings I get from this game. I'm going to lean towards closer to 4-4 than 0-0 with these defenses. And I'm going to go Orlando getting all 3 points on the road. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go them winning like in a 3-2, 2-1 fashion. It's not going to be clean, but I think they can maybe build off of that second half offensively a little bit and build some momentum here.
I kind of feel a draw on this one. Fun fact for you, though, Montreal hasn't beaten Orlando since 2023. It's been almost exactly, May 6th, 2023. So it's been exactly 3 years since Montreal has beaten Orlando. I don't think we're going to get that here in this game, but the thing with Orlando right now is I think, Orlando just beat Miami. Surely they could beat Montreal, right? But it's just too obvious. It's all vibes here. It's just too obvious that Orlando would win this game, so they're not going to. It's going to be a draw, and that's the groundbreaking analysis we've been talking about that we're beating out ESPN India with.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Another quick one here: Atlanta at home versus Galaxy. I don't really have a read on this one because Atlanta's been kind of good the past couple of games. I don't know how much of that is opponents versus actually them being better as of late. Galaxy's gonna put up a fight. I think I'm gonna go draw. This one gives me draw vibes. I don't think either team's quality is enough to separate them at this point in the season. So I'm gonna go 1-1, a draw at home for Atlanta.
That's a good shout. I honestly like it a lot. I think that Vancouver draw for the Galaxy was pretty interesting. No Thomas Muller in that one, but I think still a half decent result. If they bring anything half decent like that again, I think that could be enough to beat Atlanta. But I'm going to stick with the home team here. I'm going to stay Atlanta and just stick with my home truther league that I have.
Week. Okay.
Yeah. Could be good for them.
Next one here is the Queen City battle. We've got Charlotte at home versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati's playing good football as of late. They're turning their season around, and Charlotte's kind of the opposite. They're on 2 different trends right now. I think this one's going to be close. I don't think Cincinnati's capable of on the road pulling away from a team. And I'm going to pick Cincinnati to win this one because I just like where their offense is right now, but their defense is capable to implode at any second as well. So
yeah,
I'm going to go Cincinnati. I don't know really. I think it's 2-1, 3-2 type scoreline. And but it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be a really close game that can be decided late.
Yeah, your hope in this one is that you get more center back availability for Cincinnati. Obviously, Matt Miazga got some solid minutes in at the end of that Chicago game. Nick Hagelin came in too, so I would think maybe Nick's able to start alongside Trilla and maybe Kyle Smith, and Miazga comes in second half or something that looks like that. And really slows down the Charlotte offense, which has been pretty slow. That being said, they do have their moments. They do show their flashes. It is Wilfred Zaha after all. And by the way, I believe there's talks of extending his contract now after this time. So We may get him
Does
for a little
Charlotte
bit
want
longer. That's what Tom said. Tom said they're in talks to extend the contract. So
that? Interesting.
yeah, I know. I don't know. I don't know if Zaha wants that. Honestly, I wonder if it's a negotiation piece. But
And it might just be just the agents on both sides, the agent on his side being like, I just want a payday, and neither Charlotte or Zaha wants it. He just wants a payday.
or it's leverage. You say, hey, I've got an extension at home waiting for me. I don't have to leave. And
That's
you get
weird.
a little bit more.
I don't know
But
why either side would want to continue this, but that's interesting.
I don't know. So, anyways, all that to say, Charlotte can show their flashes, can catch you off guard. A leaky defense like Cincinnati could certainly be susceptible to that. I feel like the only thing that I can really predict in this one is goals. I'll play it safe and call a draw overall, but this is like 2-2 written all over it.
Mm-hmm. Another one I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on, New England at home versus Philly. I think we're probably both New England at home. New England's really taking advantage of a lighter schedule at this point in the season and a lot of home games, and they're winning. Like they're taking care of business at home. I think they're 4-0 at home this season so far. So 5-0. So if you're doing that, you're going to be successful in this league. We'll see long-term sustainability. I see a lot of haters online about New England. It's really interesting. I think people are like pretty upset that they're like the third seed in the East right now, and which is funny because they'd be like the sixth in the West with the same amount of points. But they've also played less games. They have games in hand. Like they're just playing well, and you got to give them credit. And I think against a side like Philadelphia that has no idea what they're doing right now, I have no confidence in anything they're doing. I think this one could be a blowout. Like I think they could blow them out at home, and you're looking at them like they're still going. So it'll be interesting.
Well, I mean, if anything, I can definitely understand the skepticism with is New England real or not, but they've had a Charmin soft schedule, if that's your argument. Well, Q Philadelphia Union at home, that is also now considered a very easy game. And
the easiest game, I would say, right now.
Exactly. And so, like, if it's anything consistent with their other results, they've beat those easy teams at home and, just lining them up one after another. So I agree with you. I think this one's got New England's name written on it. I think that they'll win this and improve to 6-0 at home. They'll keep rolling. Now, the road results and maybe some of these tougher matchups will be interesting to see, but they're just laying a really good foundation right now that, say they have a struggle in the back half of the season, they're still going to be floating around those top spots, in the East, in playoff positions. And, they're going to thank themselves towards the end of the season for how this run went, I think. And it's either going to have them in a really great position if they keep this up, or it's going to keep them in the playoffs if they don't. So, either way, I think that there's a lot of good things happening for them at the moment.
Yeah, they haven't lost since March. They have not
fantastic.
lost a game since March. That is a winning formula. That's what you like to see.
Yeah.
Continuing on here, we have Dallas at home versus RSL. This one should be really good. I think this is going to be Musa versus this new attack in RSL. I think you're going to see star power show up in this one, in my opinion. I think you're going to see Luna and Musa both provide some moments here. I'm going to lean Dallas, though. I like RSL. I just like when Musa's on the field, this team's good. Like, when he plays, they are good. And he came back last week, performed super well. I'm going to go with them in front of that half stadium full of people. What is that done, by the way? Is that done?
Like 2041 or something. I don't know. It's like...
So, but I'm going to go. I think that, that's, I think a lot of people would hear that. I think your face said it. That's kind of like an upset type pick, but I've got to have one sprinkled in there somewhere.
Yeah, I think the renovation is like they remove like 3 rows a year or something of seats, and
it's just one guy with one screwdriver going around.
That's our maintenance man. He's working on all this. Don't worry, he'll get it. Yeah,
5 years old. Yeah.
He's gonna retire off this job. Yeah. No, he or Musa, I think, is a good shout here. Obviously, you have to watch him every game. I think though that RSL is going to put enough pressure on Dallas that they're going to have trouble getting it to him. Getting it to Musa. I think that it's just going to their pressure it just interrupts the way that you want to possess the ball, and I think that maybe that does work to Dallas's favor if you kind of have those scrambled clearances. You launch up and say screw it, Musa's down there somewhere, And maybe you circumvent the midfield and you get it to him more. I find that unlikely, but I could see situations where maybe that happens. But I just think RSL is going to jam up Dallas too much, and I don't really believe in a lot of the Dallas midfield, particularly to break through a lot of that. So I'm going to actually take RSL on the road here.
Okay. We've got Nashville at home versus DC. Of course, Nashville coming off the midweek game. I think this, for me, has we're going to take out anger on DC United written all over it. I love what DC's done so far this year. We've talked about it over and over. Their floor is higher. They're feels like they're overperforming what a lot of expectations were right now so far this season. And I think they're going to be getting the wrath of Nashville in this one. I know the argument would be they're not fresh and they're coming off a lot of travel, but I just think they're that good. Even when they rotate, and when that's happened in the past, they've played well, and I think they're going to still play maybe some of these starters. So it'll be interesting to see who they actually field, but I think whoever it is, I can still see get the job done.
Yeah, this is. I feel like the only thing I'm confident of is this is not going to end up in a tie. It's going to be a shock DC United win because Nashville's hungover and playing all these extra games, or like you said, it's the Nashville revenge game and. Unfortunately, DC United walked, in the building at the wrong time. So I don't know which way that's going to go. I think Baribo, I believe he's questionable for DC United. Goes without saying, but if he's in the lineup, there's a lot more sting than when he's not. DC United looks a little bit more flat when they don't kind of have that pressure and just kind of poaching ability in the front. And Nashville, I don't think they're going to have Surge available. One of the big hits during the CONCACAF Champions Cup was Patrick Yazbek, one of their key midfielders, went down hurt in warm-ups on Wednesday. Wouldn't expect to see him play, but it's just one thinner for Nashville, and you just get a little bit worried about that. And any team in MLS, given kind of how we talked about the roster constraints. So I'm going to stick with my brain or my heart here. I think Nashville wins this at home. Don't need to overthink it, but I do see avenues for DC United here.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think this game's scoreless on both sides. I think both teams get a goal. I just think
no
Nashville
clean sheets
is going to outscore them. Colorado looking for a bounce back here against St. Louis. The right team to do it right now. They've been sliding a little bit. I'm going to go Colorado home. I think they're just going to bounce back offensively. They've been still controlling possession. It's just been the quality of chances. And I don't believe in St. Louis's back line to hold off the quality of chances. They're going to be coming Roman Berkey's way. So I'm going to go Colorado at home in this one.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right move here. The thing is that both these teams have been sliding right now, and this is a perfect regain momentum game for whoever this is going to be. Does not mean it's a springboard, but I think Colorado, for kind of maybe the expectations we started to put on them for the way their season started, they really need to win this game. For St. Louis, it's just, grab what you can and you move on. It's going to be a different team next year. But every result helps. So I like Colorado here. I think St. Louis is not going to be able to keep up with them and really their pace, honestly, when it comes to their attack. Navajo's looked really good. He's felt good. So, I think that there's going to be problems for St. Louis here.
Yeah, I agree. This is sicko game of the week for sure. We've got Portland Timbers at home against SKC. It's not very often I feel good about picking the Portland Timbers in a game, but this is one of those games you feel good about picking the Portland Timbers at home to get all 3 points. Another game to allow Neville to stick around just a little bit longer. I think they get it done, but I think there's a Jovic goal. This is my prediction every single week. It's a 2-1 win, Jovic goal.
Honestly, that I wouldn't be surprised by that with the Portland defense, but you zoom out, and this sucks to say, but is there any place on the road that you would take Sporting Kansas City to even get a draw? Any road trip for Sporting Kansas City?
I think there's a chance Philly.
Really? You think Philly's dropped that far?
They're not going to be favored. I'm not saying that's probably the favorited outcome, but I think there's a good chance they can do Jovic can do enough, have one of those games. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
These are
just a
just
sad topic. That's a
it's
mean
it's the
topic.
last two teams in the Western Conference, right? So it's like, we got a stronger Western Conference this year. And so they're just going to be the league punching bag when you got like four of the Supporter Shield favorites playing you twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like I can't imagine looking at the Sporting Kansas City team the way it is and saying that there's any matchup, and even like at home you got to think three times about it before you say it.
Dude,
Like it's
they already
it
have
just
a minus 18 goal differential this season.
oh yeah. I'm surprised it's that low, to be honest. I know they haven't gotten blown out like Orlando has a few times, but
But Orlando scored enough where I don't think theirs is that bad. Let me see. Let me see.
theirs has got to be gross too.
Orlando's
Um,
minus 16. It's not even
yeah,
as, it's not as bad.
they've given up
Um,
32 goals opposed to Sporting
yeah,
Kansas City's 8 or 26. Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah. So all that to say, I think you got to take Portland here by default, and that has nothing to do with Portland.
Nope.
Zero. So sorry,
Yep.
Sporting Kansas City fans.
Yeah. Okay, rematch of the second game. I can't believe this game's already happened for the second time this season. We have San Jose at home versus Vancouver. That's a fun
Tasty.
game. This is a fun one. We'll see what version of San Jose we get because of injury. I'm hoping Timo Werner plays. Like, that'd stink if he was in this one. Thomas Muller, I think, is set to come back this week after being out with an illness. So that'll be interesting. Of course, we still have all the Save the Caps drama. There's a bid in for them to go to Vegas. Like, that is a real thing. Like, the bid has been placed. It kind of feels inevitable, sadly, at this point. We'll see, though. They've made statements. We'll see how that goes. I'm just hoping that doesn't distract Vancouver off the field. It hasn't much so far, as we've seen. But two teams that drew last week looking for a bounce-back victory. I don't think they're going to get a victory. I think this is going to be a draw. I'm going to go draw. I think it's going to go like 2-2. I think there's going to be goals to be scored in this one. And I think it's shared points up top at the Western Conference.
So I think Timo Werner, his timetable was end of May for his injury, which I
I
think
don't
made.
believe FOMOB if you're reading FOMOB.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I thought there was something else that said it too.
They're always crazy. No,
Yeah,
but
they
I mean,
are.
there's a good chance he might not play in this one. And
Right.
they played him in double game week and he got an injury, so that's what stinks.
Yeah. So it definitely does take a lot of the top level talent out of what they do, but I think what we've kind of been learning about San Jose this year has been that it's the system that's a star.
Mm-hmm.
Like the team is a star. So, in a similar way to Vancouver, actually, where you get bummed when you see that person like a Thomas Muller not make it, but at the same time you're not too worried about like how they're gonna do, because like they have figured out how they want to play and they're doing it very well. So that's what makes this matchup exciting is you got two teams like that that are really going to throw everything they've got at it. That being said, I think I'm going to take San Jose here. I just think at home, this is the home truther in me. I know no Timo Werner, but as long as Nico Securis is in, as long as Bo LaRue is in, as long as Ronaldo Vieira is in, that's a crazy name to like be like, oh yeah, we need him. But like, the way that they're built out has just been so jammy. And I mean, we saw it in the past. It gave Vancouver problems on the road at Vancouver. Granted, they're juggling CONCACAF then, they're not anymore, but I just think that this is something that's kind of proven that San Jose's system screws up Vancouver's system. Will they have answers? That'll be why this makes the 10:30 slot the must watch, here for this weekend.
Yeah, these are my two favorite teams that aren't FC Cincinnati in the MLS. So it's like I'm a little torn. I think if I had to pick a winner, I think I might lean Vancouver.
Okay. Wow, he's jumping off
we'll
the
see.
train.
But I'm gonna go draw. So still on the train.
So, okay, he's going. Does
1
that
foot
mean?
on train?
I don't know. A draw?
That's
like
a
is that?
win against Vancouver.
You're
that's
like I'm
train.
on the train, but I'm trying to stop it. If you say you're
No, I'm
picking
a
a draw,
I'm a realist.
a realist. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
That's
know
what
if the
people
train
know me
has
as
room
for
for
sure on this
realists.
podcast.
You're either in or you're out.
We have Seattle at home versus San Diego. San Diego's in a tough. It's brutal over there right now. They blow that game last week in the sad fashion. You have the Chucky Lozano news off the field, and Seattle's going to come in trying to rebound off of a draw on the road against SKC, and I think they're going to get it done. This to me is just like as simple as what is the status of the club right now, and like what's going on in that locker room. You couldn't probably pick a locker room that's probably more steady than Seattle versus a locker room that's more chaotic than San Diego right now. And
Yeah.
that alone, especially Seattle being at home, you're just like Seattle all day. And I think this could be like a beatdown that they're not really ready for over at San Diego, just because they're going to be so in place with how they're playing together in Seattle. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I definitely go in Seattle here, and there's one name that really changes everything for me, and it's Tverskov, who's out for San Diego. I mean, he's been the silent soldier that runs that midfield for San Diego so far and all their success, and kind of held things together when it hasn't been so successful this year, and kept one goal deficits instead of 2 or 3 goal deficits. So him being out, I think, just really hits a lot of the structure of San Diego, a lot of the stability. And again, we got a Seattle team which was disappointing against Sporting Kansas City on the road. I mean, you do expect them to win that game. The numbers they put up in that game, especially, I think it's a little bit shocking that they only got 1 point. So are they going to be able to kind of rebound? I would think so. Is San Diego the right team to do it, especially with the personnel situation? Absolutely. But there's a little part of me now. I don't know if I lost a little trust or some of it was broken from that Sporting Kansas City result, but I do have like just an ounce of worry about Seattle maybe not taking care of business in this one.
Yeah, we watched that game a little bit. It was kind of ridiculous that they didn't score a second goal. So
yeah, and
that's
why I'm like, if you can't find the net against Sporting Kansas City, I don't know. So
we'll see. 3 games on Sunday. First game is NYCFC at home versus Columbus Crew. NYCFC is still looking for that result. We keep saying it every week at this point, and they're going to need to get against the Columbus Crew side that is coming off a blown lead against Minnesota. So 2 teams looking to bounce back. I'm going to go share points. I can't get a read on this game at all. I don't believe in anything with NYCFC right now, and Columbus has been hit or miss as of late. So I'm going to go draw in like a 1-1. I don't think it's high scoring at all in this one. I think it's going to be a pretty low scoring game.
Yeah, I kind of feel like calling a draw in this one just because I do not know what other direction to go with this, to be honest. Both these teams are terrible when it's not their day, and it has not been their day a lot, but somebody's got to have a day here unless this is the worst game that we're ever about to watch. I don't think that's likely just because the talent that we are going to put on the field here with Diego Rossi, Nico Fernandez, Maxi Morales, Max Arfson, like there's plenty of talent here. There's plenty of opportunity. I don't know. I'm going to trust my gut and go home team here. I'm sorry, Crew, but I just think New York City's going to find a way through. It's probably not going to be pretty, but they're going to rise on top. We also got actually another reason to go low scoring here. We got 2 goalies that are aspiring to be on the World Cup roster as well. I mean, Matt Freese is not aspiring. He's probably starting, but Schulte's looking at that number 3 spot. It very well could be his. So I don't know. I think we might see some good performances there on Sunday too.
Yeah. Next game, we have Minnesota at home versus Austin, 2 teams that have been playing well as of late. Minnesota bounced back, of course, coming back against Columbus on the road, getting all 3 points. Austin's won 2 in a row now. Uzzini and Furcuna Torres seem to be finding their footing a little bit there. Christian Ramirez looked good, and Brandon Vasquez is now joining the fold again. So they're looking to continue this role they've been on. But I'm going to go Minnesota. Foundationally, this just looked better for a longer period of time at home. I think they're going to be able to get whatever they want against this Austin team offensively. So I'm going to go Minnesota. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I actually like what I've been seeing with Austin, and if they can keep it close and maybe get a Brandon Vasquez sub on late, like who knows what could happen. But I'm going to go Minnesota in like a 2-1 game.
I'm really tempted to say 0-0 on this one. I just think that, I mean, Austin, while their defense hasn't been fantastic, they've been okay. I mean, Brad Stuver has been really good. And I just kind of wonder if that's, this Minnesota offense is starting to find its form, but I just think Austin sits back. And the low block is not really what works for Minnesota. Minnesota needs you to come out and kind of jab at them. So I think this could get it to be honestly a pretty stale game here, especially because what works against Minnesota is individual kind of performance, and Uzuni needs a lot of that to find one back of the net. Brandon Vasquez is coming back into the fold. Owen Wolf's coming back into the fold. Torres is, also kind of a one-man band. I don't think there's enough footing there yet for Austin to be able to look at a defense like that and say that they can trust themselves to score here. So I'll listen to my head here. I'm going to take Minnesota at home, but this feels like 1-0, and it's like a gross, like ping pong corner kick goal type look, but 1-0.
To finish us off, we got LAFC at home versus Houston. I think isn't this the matchup that Houston always ends up winning this game somehow?
For a long time, Houston was LAFC's bogey
LAFC
team.
won this year, I think, right? Already?
Let's see. Yeah, February 28th.
Yeah. So
they won.
That was the matchup that's like always really weird, and Houston wins it. LAFC is going to be coming off midweek. They played a little bit later. They played Toluca, and I'm going to go draw. I think it's 1-1. These teams don't score goals right now, and I think that's going to result in maybe a 1-1 draw. I could even see a sneaky 0-0 in this game. This is just LAFC dead offensively, and Houston's just offensively not super gifted at the moment. So I think it's low scoring, and I think we're getting a draw.
If it's a draw, it's 0-0, just because LAFC's defense has been so good. But, I mean, that is going to take so much wind out of their sails, this loss at Toluca. I don't know. This also kind of feels like a 1-0 to me for LAFC. I just think ultimately they've got the talent. Houston does not. And, it's funny. I was because you mentioned the bogey team thing. Like, I was looking back, and it's like, the two most recent results, LAFC beat Houston, which was February 28th and then May 3rd, 2025. So there was a period where Houston gave LAFC trouble, and I think only lost one of 6 or 5 matches. But that era is gone. I think the bogey team myth has been busted. So now we've just got back to our regularly scheduled programming of better team wins, and that's been LAFC for the last half decade. So I think that this is just going to be LAFC's game. It'll be interesting to see who they throw out and how energized they look, but I don't trust Houston here, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I get it. They're just offensively, I'm just worried. They're just not producing enough offensively. What we thought it was going to be a lot better coming into the season too. So we shall see. Well, that's going to do it for our predictions. Let's get it over before we get in the World Cup here to Stin really quick and see what he's got for us.
I'm back. It smells like broken here. Give me the bait. I'm going fishing for saves, but no one's biting. The Canadian keepers are paboon, and I mean all of them. Montreal 2, Orlando 2. Kevin Sullivan brace incoming. This has shades of the 2026 NBA Eastern Conference in it. What's that you hear? Philly dominates? True. Philly 3, New England Revolution 1. A battle for number 1 spot in MLS. Bruce Arena's team paid the price of the injury bug by starting a full team in Open Cup, which is why I'm voting #Save the Caps. San Jose 1, Vancouver 2. I smell a whopping 2 ACLs on the season-ending injury list for these two teams. It's truly been the downfall of these two clubs. 2 games in 2 weeks against each other. You see, the ACL connects the femur to the tibia, kind of like how winning connects you to the playoffs. Non-existent for these two teams. New York City 3, Columbus 1. I love a good hate watch, especially LAFC on weak legs. This is the perfect spot for Houston to come in and smack LAFC with the ugliest win they ever did done see. LAFC 0, Houston 1.
Thank you, Stin, as always, for the beautiful predictions. We had Montreal drawing Orlando. I was a little bit different than that. I think that's what you had too, right? You had them drawing.
Yes.
He had Philly beating New England 3-1 on the road, which is crazy.
Amazing.
Vancouver beating San Jose, so he was on the similar wavelength as me. If I had to pick that result, that's what I win. But I wouldn't draw overall. He had Columbus winning 3-1 after he just eviscerated.
New York City winning 3-1.
Sorry, New York City winning 3-1 after he eviscerated both these teams for having players with torn ACLs. So there was your medical lesson with Stin there at the
Yes,
end.
I love anatomy.
And then he had Houston winning 1-0 against LAFC on the road. Still believes in that curse that has now been debunked at this point. So
Yeah, busted.
we appreciate Stin for all of that. Now let's get into our World Cup predictions here, Tony. I'm excited. I think this. Oh gosh, sorry, I just blinded myself there for a second. I am excited to do this because I think it's going to start building up some hype for me personally, and hopefully for the viewers, where we can talk about World Cup predictions and how we feel about these teams going forward. So, Tony, I'm going to give you the board here, and I would love to get yours first so we can hear what you think is going to happen. And I think we go like bottom to top. Let's start with who you think is going to finish in fourth here. Maybe just a couple points about why, and we can keep rolling all the way up.
Okay, well, we'll start for fourth place for me, which I think is going to be South Africa. It is fun that they're here. I believe it's their first World Cup since they've hosted in 2010. So it's glad to have. I'm glad to have them back. But honestly, like, I think that there's a lot of these where you just don't overthink it. Like, who do they have on their team? Who do you recognize? And the answer is, like, they've got some random names, like Lyle Foster from Burnley is one of their bigger names, but we're talking about Burnley here. Rest of their like game, like, or big players are from like the Mamelodi Sundowns, if you remember them from Club World Cup. Shout out. Was it Polokwane City, Oswin Apollosis? This is like their third best player, by the way. So like. I could keep naming names. I'm looking at a list here, but the point being that
we don't know much about them.
The reality is we don't know much about them, and they're not really playing at the highest level as individuals. And I don't think that really they, I don't think they moved the needle for me. Their most recent result, they lost to Panama, which is kind of a middle tier CONCACAF opponent. And that was only by a goal, so it's halfway respectable. But I don't think that there's really the firepower on the South Africa team. We're just happy to have them here in Group A.
Quick reference for everybody: the FIFA World Rankings for these teams. We're looking. South Africa's number 60. We've got, I think, Czech Republic is right around like
40.
40s. Yeah. South Korea is, I think, like 25, 26, right around there. And then Mexico, I believe, is in the top 15, if I'm not mistaken.
They are 15. Yeah.
15. So that's kind of the range. And I said to Tony the pre-show, and I said at the beginning of the show, if you were listening, like, that's not like a huge separate. Like, it's like basically like 10 to 15 teams, and then you move on to the next team. When you get the World Cup, like, there's not a powerhouse. Like, all like, respect to Mexico, they show up, and Ochoa is going to turn into Jesus Christ himself in net, and he's going to be really good. But, like, you're not looking at, like, an England and Argentina, Brazil, like, at the top of this group just rolling through these teams. And I think that's what makes this interesting, because you could have, like, a team like South Africa. If they can just win their an opening match against a Czech or a South Korea, I don't remember off the top of my head who they play in their opening match, but if they can win that first matchup against those teams specifically, like, that's where a team like that can start building momentum in a group like this. Like, those three teams specifically, in my mind, it's like, you've got to beat, like, yes, they want to beat Mexico, but in their mind, they're just telling themselves, we've got to beat these other two who are a little bit more down the totem pole. And I don't think there's a ton of separation between those three teams. Now, South Korea and Czech have the top talent on their team that can have a moment. The Patrick Schicks of the world, the Heung-min Sons of the world that can do something and like have a moment that is proven to have a moment that South Africa doesn't have. But you also have a group of guys in South Africa that are playing their first World Cup in 16 years to represent their country. And that's a big thing, like, especially early in the tournament, in those first couple games where it's like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime, we've got adrenaline pumping, momentum, like, we haven't lost yet to kill our momentum. And that game one can be crucial for a team like South Africa. So just wanted to put that point in there.
Yeah. I mean, that's about as much as I can add on South Africa. But as we move forward in the rest of this group, I think this gets really interesting because, like, kind of like you mentioned, the rankings somewhat staggered here. But I don't know. You look at the talent on these teams, where these teams are at, and how they're playing, and like you could arrange these three teams in any order. I think I would buy it. Like I could be argued into like why they end there. So for me, I think that Mexico is going to be third here. That's
What?
I do. Yeah.
Oh,
You can change that up.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's insane. Are they gonna make? You think they make it as a third seed?
yeah, probably because I think that they'll probably win over South Africa, so it'll give them the 3 points. I'm guessing that'll be enough for you in a third seed to move on if you get.
You don't know. Yeah.
I would think 3 points. 4 points definitely. If you have 4 points, you're definitely moving through.
That's
in a third
that's
seed.
a
but
hot take to get us started here in the World Cup.
yeah, I've been
predictions,
feeling
Tony.
spicy today, PJ. But
I know. I've been able to tell early on.
Yeah.
I felt it.
well, yeah, I mean, I did have a little bourbon before this, but still, I just think that I understand Mexico's ranked 15th. I just my fear for them. I'm really worried about this drama with the team camp stuff. I mean, there are people not showing up, and I don't know what that's going to do for the locker room. There is, I mean, like really high level players on that Mexico team, like without a doubt. But the problem is that like Mexico's had a really hard time from transitioning from like the guys that played at these really high levels and are kind of on the downswing of their career and ushering in the new generation. And they've just kind of been on a rocky slope recently with some of the results they're getting. Now that I was impressed by Belgium and Portugal results that they had. It actually sent me on a tailspin on this very podcast about how we failed because they drew both of those teams. But I just there's this gut feeling that makes me think that things are just not going great over there. Even in Santi Jimenez at AC Milan, is out of form just like Pulisic is. I mean, that's part of AC Milan's struggles in general, but I have not really fallen in love with the trajectory that this Mexico team is on. And I think that Czech's got the momentum. South Korea's got the momentum. Like that, the playoff thing, I think, works really in favor of Czech Republic because those guys are buzzing. They're excited to be here and they're ready to do some damage. I think South Korea is a really talented team. So that's kind of where I just like, not very happily or confidently, but fell at Mexico at third.
Okay. Who do we have in the second spot here?
Then I think we'll go Czech at number 2. Czechia, and then obviously South Korea at number 1. I think that's my answer there. Well, like I said, you could talk me into anything. You could talk me into it right now, and I'd tell you to slide Mexico to number 1 if you had convincing enough points. Like I'd buy it. Like I think that this is a great group. Like it is going to be really interesting, and it's going to go down to the last few minutes of their matches on round 3 or whatever you want to call it. Like this is going to be a tight group. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think it's one of the more toxic groups of. You could see 3 different winners, 3 different people who are finishing last. So it's just like, or 4 and 4. So it's just interesting. I don't know. I'm excited to see how this one plays out. I think it's also going to come down to one of the final games, and that will be something to watch for. Okay. Well, let me get in mine really quick because it is a little bit different. So I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to leave South Africa at 4. All respect to South Africa. I hope that they can come and make a moment. That'd be fun. It'd be fun for the tournament early on to have South Africa come in and have a moment like that, but I'm not totally convinced. It's just top end quality. It gets down to that point eventually for a team like that. In the third slot, I'm going South Korea.
Whoa. Okay. Not buying the Sun hype.
I think this. I'm the biggest Sun guy in the world, and I love him so much. But I think maybe this is the cliff. Like this is the tournament. It starts to not fall their way completely, and I think that they're going to be vulnerable in this one. So I'm concerned. I'm concerned because Son isn't the killer, and he hasn't always been consistent in World Cups, but they don't have him to be the guy that's just like he doesn't have the legs to be the guy for all 90 minutes for all three games. Like he's going to have to facilitate, and other guys are going to have a moment. Now they have quality of players to do that.
Yeah.
I still think they do, but we haven't seen it from all of them in a World Cup. So I think it's gonna be interesting. Once again, I could see them finishing first place in this group, and I wouldn't be shocked. But for my predictions, I'm gonna go third. I'm gonna go Czech second and Mexico first.
Okay, so we swapped first and third.
Czech could have an FC Cincinnati representative. Papa Buka,
Yeah.
got it. Good news, was not really injured after that crazy tackle at the end of last game. So they're saying he's back and in training. So that's good for him for World Cup, because I was concerned for him there for a moment that he might miss out on a World Cup. But I think Czech has some talent there, and I think that they're not going to be a team that's going to blow you out of the water, like offensively or anything like that. But I think their stability from front to back is real, and I think they're going to be in a close game with all of these teams, like a 1-0, 1-1 type game. That if they can scratch a couple of those across the line, like they're going to be in a good place to finish in second place in a group like this. And I went Mexico first, and I as a USA fan, of course, want to be like, oh, they're going to crash and burn. The biggest factor for Mexico, truly, in this tournament, is going to come down, in my opinion, to the fans in those home soil games. Because those fans can be the biggest weapon and the biggest for them against other teams, and also the biggest pitfall for them for their own teams, depending on how that first game goes. Because if they go down in front of the home soil crowd and it does not end well, you're going to see a very upset group of nation of fans at this national team, and that can get on those players and weigh on those players. But I think that they're going to come out and that stadium's going to be sold out. It's going to be 99% Mexico fans at that game. If they can get into it early, get rolling, and if they're going to have the fan momentum, especially in game one, where they're going to be going nuts for them to get going early. Once they get that first goal across the line, I could see them just cruising through this group just because of the fan base and the quality. Like Raul Jimenez still producing for the Premier League at this age, like still finding a way to do it. They still have guys front to back that can have a moment, and I think they get it done. I just think the quality's there on home soil. Like those two factors alone, they're just more talented than these teams, and I believe in them to get it done. So we were a little different. We were a little different in this one.
Yeah,
we really had South Korea and Mexico flipped was the real difference between us. We'll see though. Like we said, I could see about 5 different scenarios in this on how they all finish, and I wouldn't hate your prediction if you made it different than mine, and you could convince me just like Tony said it, and we'll see. And is Mexico the first game of the tournament? I believe.
I believe they are. I think they are the very first one.
I don't remember what that is off the top of my head here, but
against South Africa, 3 p.m. Thursday, June 11th.
That's the type of game where I'm like, game one, they could go up early in South Africa. That crowd gets into it, and then they just extend that lead and get a goal differential type game, and it looks good. Now, if South Africa throws a punch early,
it doesn't
and
work,
stays in a 0-0 like into halftime, where you're not getting the goal differential against a team like that, it's not looking great. And even if you win 1-0 late, like you're gonna love that result, but you're gonna be like, okay, like all of these teams could beat South Africa, and if you only win 1-0, that could play a factor in the end of the group there for them. So we'll see how it plays out. This is gonna be fun. I'm excited. I'm hoping this builds some excitement for you guys, the listeners, as we go into the World Cup here. And we're really like, a month away at this point. So
yeah,
get
just
your popcorn
about
ready and get ready for some
start
friendlies.
popping now.
Yeah. Go get your the buzz balls. Go get a buzz ball with your country flag on it, and get ready to celebrate
insanity.
Some
yeah. Go watch clips of who is it? Zlatan getting buzzed by Tom Brady.
Yes,
if that doesn't get you hyped up for the World Cup,
That was a good ad. I actually kind of liked it.
I
Adidas
thought
did a
that
really good
the
ad.
Adidas one was fun too. Yep.
The Timothy Chalamet with Messi. Yeah, it's really good.
Yep.
If you haven't watched that
Yep.
one, that's a really good one. You're going to start seeing a bunch of branding stuff around as you're just walking around the United States. So be ready for it. I'm a little sad we're not a city that is hosting a game because I think that's how you'd really feel the excitement brewing. Shout out Kansas City. They're allowing beer sales from 6 a.m. on during the entire tournament. So no
And
matter
all the
when your team
bars,
is
yeah.
playing, you can drink. Shout out Kansas City.
Which is hilarious because they're like in the center time zone of like all the things. Like it makes sense if it's like, hey, I'm going to watch my team play in England. You know, it's 6 a.m. kickoff, but no, it's like we're kicking off at noon. Like you don't even 5 a.m. You know, like
pregame, Tony. We got a pregame. Got to get ready.
I guess so. It's just that cracked me up a little bit. I was like, oh, that's an awesome excuse.
Yeah, get your PTO ready so you can start calling off days for these games.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, well, that's going to do it for us. We will see you guys on Tuesday to recap everything that happened in the MLS over the weekend and cover Group B, which is Canada's group in the World Cup. So that's another group that could end 4 different ways. 4 different winners can come out of that group, and I wouldn't be shocked. So,
but only one possible loser. That's that's what we're coming up with.
No. Sorry, you never know. We know. We know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we will see you guys on Tuesday for the MLS recap.
See ya.